Hi, my name is Karanya Setharaman and I'm a student at Gunn High School. In my school vacations, I go to India and learn the art of traditional Indian temple carving. And today I'm going to teach you some of that so you can do it yourself. So first I'm going to give you some examples of the kinds of things that we will be carving on this show. So over here you can see a statue of the goddess Lakshmi. And you can see over here on the left bottom side, there are these swirls. This type, and this type, and we're going to be learning how to do all three of these today. On the other statue to my right, the god Dhanvantri, who is the goddess of Ayurveda, the traditional Indian medicine, you can see on this statue as well, the three swirls, and we'll be learning how to make this same shape on our bird today. So to start carving our 2D relief, we're going to start with a basic piece of wood. I'm using white cedar here from Malaysia. It has specific qualities due to the temperature and humidity in Malaysia, and it's a very nice type of wood. So I've already drawn the bird on here and done a border so that it's framed. So you can choose to do any design you want. You can do a bird, you can do something else that you see outside, but the techniques we learn on this bird can be used for any design. And so just a little trick, I'm not going to be able to draw the whole bird on TV today because we have to get to the carving, which is the fun part. But I will teach you how to make this equal border. There's a little trick that you can use. If you put your finger like this finger right here, and you put it against the board, and then you put your pencil here, then as you draw with your pencil, your finger will keep the pencil in the same place, so you'll get a straight line. And if you do that on all four sides, then you'll have the same edge on all four sides. I can do it like that. Anyways, so after you've drawn your design, it's probably best to go over it in ink because pencil can smudge rather easily. And then you're ready to start carving it. So what we want to do first is we want to take out the excess background material right here. So I've already done that on a piece so I can show you what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to cut out just the center design of the bird and just take out all of these portions. So for that, we're going to want to use our mallet and chisel, as I have here. So for the edges, it's just a straight line, so we're going to use just this square-shaped chisel. So hold in your left hand, mallet in your right. If you need, you can adjust the chisel with your left hand, with your right hand, and then just use a mallet. Do it like that, and we'll just trace the line all the way to the corner, like that. And so always take your time with this because if you hit too hard, the wood might break depending on how brittle it is. So once you've traced the outline with your chisel, then you can go sideways, and for this we're going to want to clamp it. So right here I'm using one of these clamps. It has a plastic-like substance, and that's because that's all this table can handle. But if you're doing it at home on a sturdier table, it's probably best to use a metal C-clamp because those are a little stronger. But this will do just as well, and you can get this at many hardware stores. So just put it close like this and make sure to clamp it tightly to the table. And as you can see, this doesn't move anymore. Then take your chisel and go ahead. So as you can see, I'm going very gradually on it because as it's wood carving, it's not like any other medium, because if you take something out, there's really quite difficult to put it back on. So if you do that on all the sides, doing the same, tracing the edge with a chisel using different shaped chisels for round portions, you'll finally be able to get something like this that I have here with all of the background wood cut out. And then we can get started with carving the details on it. So make sure to clamp it tight because that's going to make it a lot easier for you. And then let's start with the tail feathers right here. So we're going to make them different levels. So this is going to be higher up and this is going to be lower here. So I'm going to go right here up to here and just make it a gradual slope. So first I'm going to use this chisel to make a line here with my chisel. That. And then starting from here where I made my pencil line, I'm going to just start chiseling it down. Like that. And as you can see, we're getting a gradual slope here. All right. So as soon as you start to get a slope, you want to make it more uniform because as you can see, this is a bit of a steeper slope than it is over here. So let's just go back and make that all the same. Again, be very gradual in your chiseling because you don't want to take out something that you wish was there. All right. And then you can go sideways as well to make the transition from this to this a little more gradual. All right. And when you do this, you'll have noticed that I sort of lost my design here, but that's not a big problem because just take a look at your original design and simply redraw it. So really nothing is set in stone here. You can always change the design a little bit if you want. And this doesn't need to be a very precise drawing, just so that you have a good idea of what your design looks like. So, almost done. And now we have it redrawn. So now that we have that, we're going to start using the hand tools. So these tools, you don't use a chisel, you just use the power of your hand. And right here I'm using a V-shaped arrow-like tool, and that will create grooves in the wood. So depending on the direction of your grain, it might be better to go one direction or the other. If you feel like your tool really isn't moving, then it's probably that you're going against the grain and you should switch and go the other direction. So first of all, we're just going to make ridges to differentiate the different parts of our design right here. That. All right. And so again, gradual is the name of the game here. Just keep on doing it gradually, and so you can stop whenever you want to. Okay. And we're going to take this section down as well, so that this is a little higher than this part. And for that, we're actually going to use our chisels again. So here I'm using a smaller chisel so that I don't accidentally chip off something that I want. And just go like this, straight. And since we've already made this ridge here, when we chip this part off, it'll just come straight off like that. And even if a little bit does chip off, that's not a big problem because most of this is going to be removed anyways. Just to be safe, we can retrace this line with our chisel. And right here, I'm using a slightly rounded chisel, so depending on the angle of my curve, I can flip it, and it will fit the contours of the curve. So I just keep on going. And if your clamp isn't tight enough, you can always go back and tighten that. So we just gradually make this a little lower in height than everything else. All right. And so I'm going to use another small chisel now to even this out. Like that. Just even it out. All right, so this is mostly even. And again, we're going to go back and draw our design on again, right here. Like that. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect, just a rough sketch is enough. Okay, and now to make one of these, we're going to use our hand tools again. And I'm going to use that same ridge making tool. So again, just slowly but surely, just like a hair. Hairs width at a time, just keep on going. And when you get to the end, you can go straight down so that you'll have a clean demarcation between this swirl and this swirl. All right. And then we can use you can use a rounded tool to make this into a more round shape, like that. And as I said before, most of this goes away. So this is going away here. Just shape it into a really nice round shape. Like that. Okay, and then we can use this round tool to make the center part. And you can also actually use a round tool to make this round shape on the edge. And then like that. All right. And so you can do this same process on every single one of these swirls in varying degrees, which is totally up to you how high you want to make it. You can make this lower than this, whatever suits your idea of what you want this piece to look like. And as you can see over here, this is about the same level as this, so it's probably a good idea to go and just lower the level of this a bit so that there's a difference in between both. And there you have it. This is how you make the tail feathers for your bird. So you just replicate this in all these places. And the same technique will work for this part, these tail feathers as well. So it's really a technique that can be used in a lot of places. And then we're going to also shape the body so it's more round. So we want to make this part and this part lower than these two parts. And so for that, we're going to have to use our chisels again. So we're going to use a round chisel. As I said, that will fit the contours of our design better. And so just do that. Like that. So it's a good idea to just make a cut on the edges of the area that you're going to be carving so that you don't accidentally chip something else. And then we want to make this a round shape. So we want this to go and slope down over here. So for that, we're just going to gradually chip off the edge of this here. That. So again, the roundness of the body is, again, up to you. You can do it however much you think looks good. And after you've done it with the mallet and chisel, you can use a hand tool to smooth out some of the portions and make it a little more gradual. So, there we go. And so now I'm going to use the same round tool that I hold in my hand that I used before, and just take it here and really clean out the edges and make it all tidy. So you can use it horizontally in an arc like this, going like this, and then the other direction. And if it's not carving very easily, then try doing it the other direction, just in case you're going against the grain. And now you can see you have a much rounder body, and you're going to do the same thing over here. Take off the edge and then make it gradually round. And so now you know how to make the tail feathers and shape the body, and we're going to work on the detail on the body. So I have a piece here where I've finished the tail feathers, sanded them down, and also shaped the body fully. Okay, and so make sure to clamp it on tight. And for the body here, it's a bird, so we're going to want little feather-like shapes. And for this, we're just going to use this round tool and make little crescent shapes. So you can draw them out with the pencil for the first time, like little crescents. And like tiles on a roof, it's usually a nice look if you alternate them. So if there are two, then there's one down here, and they're just slightly off kilter, so a little more like a bird would be. And then you just continue that pattern all the way down and use this tool. So you just press straight down with the half circle tool. You don't need to go very deep, just maybe 2 millimeters under the surface. And then to really show that it's like a feather, we're going to take the circle tool and go right here and just scoop out the center part like that. So again, instead of putting it straight like this, we're going to put it at an angle and just scoop out that center portion. And so this is why it's nice to do them off, little alternating. So you just take that center portion out, and you can really see that they're little feathers. And so you can do the same thing right here to show that it's little feathers on a bird. Just draw it on first so you kind of have an idea of where you want to place your tool, and then go ahead and use your tool. Like that. All right, so keep on doing that here and all the way here, and then we can get started on this body. So for this, we're going to use our ridge tool again, and just go like this. Just go right where you drew the design. All right. And then over here. So then you have a nice little line on the body. And then right here. And so we're going to make this look like there's a flower on this bird's body. And this is the center of the flower. So put a little cross design like the top of a pie across here. And then this part is going to be the flower petals. So just a little petal design like that. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect, just a rough design will suffice. And so for the petals, we're going to use this circular tool again, and we're just going to do 2 circles at the end, and then use this arrow tool to make the difference between the petals. So just go in a little arc like that. You can have wider or skinnier petals, whichever you prefer. So now that we've divided all of our petals, we can use the circle tool to shape the ends like that. Do that on each of them. And then we can use the circle tool again to scoop out the central portion. So it's like a little petal furling up from the inside. All right. And then for the center, we're going to use our ridge tool again and just make that crosswise line shape. All right. And for this feathered section, we're going to use our ridge tool again, a very versatile tool, and just make the difference between these feathers. Like that. And then take the ridge tool and just make a line down the center. And so then this is a more traditional feather. So we're just going to have this in the center and then make little ridges down the sides, just like a feather. Like that. So just make little grooves right next to each other, and that'll give you a very nice feathered look. And if your clamp gets in the way, then you can always adjust it somewhere else. So as you work on different parts of the bird, it's inevitably going to be in the way. And of course, once you've made enough grooves and you really like how it looks, you can go and trace the outline between the feathers again, just to make sure that it's really clear. And when you're all done carving, you can take a little piece of sandpaper. The grit depends on how much you want to sand, and so if you have a flat piece of paper, fold it once like this and then once like this, and then just roll it so that you have a nice little tip, and then you can really get in and sand in exactly the places you want to sand, very precisely. And sanding is very important because that's what gives you that nice smooth finished look that you want to have before you start varnishing it. So you can really sand it. You can sand it over here a little bit more. And if you want to get into a little groove like right here, having it a sharp point at the end is very important. If you want to, you can use a more rough sandpaper if you want to sand it more at one time, and a lighter sandpaper will sand it less. All right, and when you've finished these two ways the way I've shown you, and you've sanded them all down, you will be the proud owner of a beautiful wooden bird carving. And as you can see, I've really sanded down all of these swirls right here so that they're really smooth. So if you put your finger on them, you definitely would not get any wood splinters. And you can see I have the same feathered design right here. And on this one, I actually made 2 ridges in the center, so you can do that if you want. And you can see that flower. So from this, you can see that although Indian temple carving is very old and looks amazing, it's definitely something that even a beginner can do with some tools, a pencil, and my help. You can definitely make a beautiful wooden carving of a bird. I'd like to thank my parents, my teacher Shivakumar Sir and Shivanandan Sir for teaching me this art, and all the volunteers at the Mid-Peninsula Media Center that made this show a possibility. So thank you guys so much for helping me. And I hope that you will watch this TV show and maybe be inspired to do some carving, even if it's not a full-fledged bird at the beginning. Even carving a little heart on a piece of wood is an accomplishment, and you should definitely take a stab at it. Thank you.